with our final speaker, I'm very pleased to introduce Alex Gordon. Alex is a train driver and he's also the president of the RMT, which has backed TUSC from the start. He represents 80,000 members from almost every sector of the transport industry, the mainline and underground railways, shipping, offshore, buses and road freight. He is our lead candidate in these London elections, and if we get 5% across London, Alex will be elected. So, Alex Gordon.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Nick. Can I just first of all say thank you to everyone who's come out tonight, because I believe that this is an important meeting. I think my comrade Steve Headley made some scathing remark about the same old faces or something. I'd say it's a long time since a lot of the people I'm looking at have been inside a church. But what I would like to say is thank you very much for coming down tonight. I believe this is important and I'll explain why. Let me just introduce myself, although Nick's already sort of done the job. I'm the national president of the RMT, the largest union in the rail, maritime and transport industry. We are well known socialists and trade unionists throughout Britain for sticking up for our members. We've got a proud tradition also, though, of fighting politically. That is to say, fighting for trade union rights against the anti-union laws, fighting for rights for workers who are often ignored, such as maritime workers who shamefully were excluded in 1968 from the Race Relations Act in really an obscene, long-standing example of British industrial relations hypocrisy, where racism and endemic discrimination on grounds of race against workers has been tolerated by successive governments for 50 years. We represent workers who are willing to fight and take strike action because they believe in the ideals of public service, because they've seen the ruin that privatisation has brought to the rail industry in which they work. So I come from a trade union tradition of people who are proud to use the term trade unionist and proud to associate ourselves with socialism. And this is an important meeting tonight because we're standing up and saying there's nothing to be ashamed about being a trade unionist. There's nothing to be ashamed about being a socialist. In fact, there are millions of our fellow citizens out there who are looking for an alternative that is proud to stand up and say we believe in the collective will of the population, that we believe that our collective interests are more important than the interests of the tiny elite minority who were banging the tables, as Jackie said, in the cabinet the other day when they announced their bill had gone through Parliament to privatise the NHS. A couple of words about the announcements today on the budget, and other people have said, I think, some have spoken, I think, eloquently about some of the elements of the budget, but it's very noticeable that, as Bob Crow pointed out, the attack in that budget speech by Osborne on young people, on young unemployed people, freezing the national minimum wage for 16 to 18-year-olds, while at the same time knocking 2 pence off corporation tax and 5 pence, excuse me, off of income tax for the very highest earning bracket. I mean, what more do you need to know about the people who are running this country? And what more do we need to say? Well, we need to say this. Her Majesty's official opposition are embarrassed to stand up and say what needs to be done in order to put that right. It's one thing for Miliband to stand there today and to come out with a speech knocking the toffs on the opposite benches for punishing the poor. It's quite another thing to be a politician who has been part of a party that has presided over the privatisation of major parts of our public services and which has got a fundamental problem with giving trade unionists their rights in the workplace. The Labour Party today is ashamed of the word trade unionist and it's ashamed of its background in the British socialist tradition which it was born from. We should be saying in this election campaign that there is a majority of people in this country who want to turn their back on both of those benches in the House of Commons today. the sneering toffs on the Lib Dem and Con Dem benches, banging the table in the cabinet, glorying in the dismantling of the NHS, the greatest achievement of our movement. And we should also be turning our backs on people who, in government for 13 years, proved that they are not worthy of support from working people and that they have betrayed working people when it came to the tough questions about whether you're going to back people on strike on November the 30th or whether you're going to pop up and condemn them on television. Let's be quite clear, there'll be no running away from supporting strikers from trade union and socialist coalition candidates. It's on tin, right? It's quite clear what we stand for. And I believe that there's a lot of people out there who will be relieved that there's somebody coming forward and saying we're not embarrassed about supporting people who are fighting for public services. We're not embarrassed about supporting people who fight for jobs. Our job is to get across to that majority, that silent majority that isn't represented in the media, that majority that is being surreptitiously squeezed out of our public life. But the people that we all know, our mothers, our fathers, the people that we grew up with, the people who do believe in a different and alternative type of society. Last night I was watching Newsnight and up popped somebody called Lord Miners, former Labour City Minister, now representing something called Civitas Capital. And he was being interviewed on Newsnight about what was likely to be in the budget. And astonishingly, he used this phrase which some of you may know. He said he was for the millions, not the millionaires. And I think that what we should be doing, I've actually done some research into this today. I mean, I think there's a lot of squabbling perhaps over where this phrase originally came from. I'm told by my friend David Rosenberg, a well-known anti-fascist and socialist in London, that the phrase was first used by the Daily Mirror in the 1930s when Mosley organised his mass rallies at Earl's Court. And the Daily Mirror ran a headline saying Mosley has the millionaires, but we've got the billions. And that's exactly where TUSC should be standing in this debate today, because there are millions of us out there deprived of a voice, deprived of an alternative, and yet we meet them on the bus, we meet them at work, we grew up with them, we went to school with them, we know they're there, and they're asking us to come forward and to give them representation. Comrades, we've got 6 weeks from tonight to get out there and get TUSC's name in every person's mind who's going to go to the ballot box. I can tell you this, members of my union have been systematically leafleting estates in Camden, Somerstown and around King's Cross. I believe that there are hundreds, thousands of postcards out there that need to be taken away. We've got a massive job to do and we've got a short time to do it in. I'm thanking you for coming out tonight, but I'm asking you to get stuck in over the next 6 weeks, because we can do this, we can crack this. It's rather an unusual situation in the British electoral system to have the ability to get somebody elected, and possibly more than one person, elected on a slate such as this one. The opportunity is there, the objective circumstances are perfect for us to take advantage of them, but we need an immense amount of work, we need finances, we need resources, and we all need to pull together, minimise our differences, and maximise what we have in common, which is the fight against cuts, the fight against austerity, and the need to build a mass movement to turn this government out of office and to bring a decent society back in this country that most people want to see. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with you over the next weeks, months and years.